Hi, all. I'm Cullen Haynes, and welcome to Live with Cullen Haynes, Ledger Legends, episode number 15. I can't believe it's number 15 already, but we have a very, very special guest for you today that is broadcasting all the way across the Pacific Ocean in Dallas, Texas, 7:23 p.m. So we're very lucky to get this absolute powerhouse on the show and donating her time to us to talk all things power, purpose, and professional services. Can you please make very welcome my dear friend Jennifer Warawa, who has been in the industry over 20 years and now heads up President and GM of Insight Software. So the one, the only, Jennifer, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Colin. I'm trying to figure out how do I match your energy, because I love it. It's just like, man, I want to just come out as excited as you are.
Oh, look, it's all about bringing the energy, because I always I start off the days like today. I choose to be happy, right? Like no matter what happens, if you start the day like that, I think you're going to have an okay day, in my opinion.
Yeah, that's a great way to approach it.
Absolutely. But I thought this episode's about you. Want to know what's happening in your world right now. And how would you describe what you do in a nutshell to everyone in Australia and watching in the States?
Yeah, so what is happening in my world? Probably not different than what's happening in a lot of people's business environments around the world. I think that everything is moving faster than it's ever moved before. The pace of business has just picked up to a real clip. And I think that AI is rapidly changing the business landscape. So it's across all industries. So it is transforming very quickly. And as you said, I'm the president and general manager of two business units at Insight Software, and we are the most comprehensive provider of AI-powered solutions for the office of the CFO.
Wow. Okay. So you're really trying to level up the game for all the CFOs out there and those wanting to make sure they're at the cutting edge then.
Absolutely.
So what do you like making it a bit light and fun? If you had to explain your current role now and your journey to where you've gotten in just film titles, how do you think you'd go about doing that, Jennifer?
Oh gosh. Well, first of all, this is a fun fact about me. I'm not the best movie knowledge expert person. So it's like I don't have this great library of movies that I've watched. But if I had to sum it up, a movie that I think is well-rounded, that represents a lot of different things, is the movie Moneyball. Don't know if you've seen that.
I love Moneyball. Billy Bean.
It's been a while, but I think about that as innovation under constraints. I think about data-driven decision making, challenging the status quo, getting to the right results, and really leading organizations through change. And so I love that aspect of the movie. It's pretty inspiring and a lot of change. And I think that's been my career from start to where I'm at now.
Absolutely. And I think what I love about that movie is the way his approach is very different to what the accepted norm was.
Absolutely.
And everyone was very, very subjective, but it was a very objective approach, basing it on the numbers, basing it on the facts. So I'm endeared by that movie, and I'm glad you're a fan of it as well. Michael Lewis is a great writer. Now we got another great Michael Haynes, who introduced the two of us, Jennifer. He's a super connector. He's a legend. So shout out to Michael Haynes, who is an absolute legend in his own right. So be sure to grab his book on Amazon. It's a bestseller. And I would add in, if you have any questions for Jennifer, we are streaming live. It is now 10:30 in Sydney, 7:30 in Dallas. So please put your questions in and we'll get them wherever you put them in there. But in terms of what stands out in a leader in the accounting and professional services industry, in your opinion today, so CFOs and various other leadership roles, what do you think it takes to stand out right now? Is it easy to say AI? Are there other traits that people need to be doing or thinking about?
Yeah, I don't think that AI is a standout trait anymore. I think it's become almost mainstream and expected. So that's not a differentiator anymore. So I think there's some leadership attributes in general that I think are important across any profession. I think about things like Agility, really important, because every day can, take a turn and lead you in a different direction. So I think agility is important. Curiosity is always an attribute that is, always asking why and digging in and learning more.
What's
And
going on? Yes.
customer obsession is super important in any business at all. When I think about what's happening in the market right now, I think about kind of market and customer fluency. So the ability to kind of read what's going on in the market, read what's happening with your customers, and then turning that into your overall strategy. So I think the market's very dynamic, and you need to be dynamic. When I think about accounting specifically and what accounting leaders need to have, I think that they need to have this ability to shift from sharing reports and data to providing actionable insights, which can be a very different approach for lots of people in the accounting profession, including CFOs. So I think the accountant of tomorrow will need to be a storyteller. I think the technology continues to get better at reporting and compliance, and there's a lot of
Yes.
value in the story that the numbers tell and those actionable insights.
Very well said. In terms of everything that's going on, I think AI is not the exception but the norm now, right?
It
So
is, absolutely.
you, you just, it's just kind of baked in. You need to be at the forefront anyway. But I'd love to ask you, what inspired you taking the step into leadership, and what keeps you passionate about it now?
Yeah, that's so this goes back to high school. So growing up, I always wanted to be a teacher. Like I thought that's what I knew through, I think since like second grade, I wanted to be a teacher. So in my senior year of high school, I spent a week shadowing a teacher. So being in the classroom and going through their day with them, and I figured out I did
Yes.
not want to be a teacher at all. And
It
so
turns out.
Oh, as it turns out, good thing I did not go and do that, because that was not what excited me. But what I learned was that I wanted to be an inspiring leader that drove change. And where I'd seen that the most growing up was from teachers. And so I thought, man, you have the ability to go in and drive change and get people excited. And I didn't realize that was a leadership trait per se. I was thinking, look at this profession where they go in and shape lives. And I thought, you don't have to be a teacher to do that. You can be a leader in any kind of business. And so
Good
um,
point.
I'm glad I didn't become a teacher. Although, shout out to all the teachers out there. It's
Shout
admirable.
out to all the teachers. Absolutely. My wife's a primary school teacher, so I'll make sure she gets the shout out as well there,
Yeah,
Jennifer. She's looking after
patience
our
of a
two
saint.
little ones.
Yeah, she's got
Oh,
some patience.
absolutely. I've learned very quickly from my wife that there's a very certain way of talking with children, which actually translates to some adults as well. You have to
I
really
love that.
speak on a different level.
Believe
But
that.
what's if we can keep it light, what's one surprising skill or underrated skill that has helped you succeed in the accounting and professional services space?
I think if you build your business and your strategy on a foundation of the needs of the customer, you
Yes.
can win. And the reason I think of that as kind of underrated is that a lot of times people can get caught up in the politics inside your business. Kind of, we used to talk about the politics inside these four walls. And at the end of the day, the business is out in the field, it's in the customer, in with your clients. And so I
Yes.
think about customer obsession and that being foundational to your ultimate success.
Absolutely. And is there one philosophy or anything you subscribe to with customer obsession that inspired you back in the day, like a book or an experience
Uh,
at work? Like, because it seems like you're very passionate about putting the customer at the forefront.
Yeah, geez, you know what? I don't even need a book to inspire me. Although if you looked on the other side of these monitors, it's just floor to ceiling bookshelves just full of books, most of them business. So that's a kind of a passion
Yes.
of mine. But I think when I get out in the field and spend time with customers or clients and meet with them and talk about their business and how whatever solution that I'm speaking with them about, the difference it's making inside their business, my energy level gets ramped up. It fills my cup, if you will. And so the motivation comes from continuing to be customer connected, and it it fires me up. I love it.
I love that. I absolutely love that. Absolutely.
Oh, you're back.
At the forefront and leading from the front. It's obviously very draining for you. How do you unwind after a particularly tough day, would you say, Jennifer?
I love to get outside. So I spend my days inside in offices all the time. I do not work outside. I think, maybe in my retirement, I'll get some kind of an outside job because I love fresh air. But I think if I can get out in nature and get some fresh air and sunshine, I think that's a huge reset for me. Oh, you're muted right now, Colin.
Can you hear me now? Is that coming through?
You're good. Yep.
Oh, very good. I love the mute button on the StreamYard. Always good fun. But if you could you describe yourself, I've noticed on some of the socials and your descriptions as solar powered. What role does energy and mindset play for you and how you lead? I love that term, solar powered.
So I definitely recharge in the sun for sure, and I think about my energy and what my energy's like on sunny, warm days versus gray, rainy, cloudy days. And I think the key, you called it out at the very beginning of our discussion, is just deciding what energy you want to have that day, deciding what kind of day it's going to be in advance of knowing the weather, in advance of knowing what's going to unfold, and just choosing that for yourself.
I love that. And I think that decision at the start of the day is the most important because I think Jim Rohn said it back in the day. It was very popular in the US. Like if you start the day reading the newspaper, reading about wars and murders and things like that, you're like, you can imagine what kind of day you're going to have, right? So
Absolutely. Yeah,
you
true.
got to stand guard at the door of your mind and say, this is the way I want to see the world. This is the way I want to go. It's not being a Pollyanna, but it's literally saying if you start from today's going to be a great day, I'm happy, then you're probably more often than not going to have a better chance of having a better day, if in my opinion, than starting it off with all the other stuff.
Yeah, setting the intention right at the beginning.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, switching gears a little bit to your personal life, because you and your husband do some noble work as foster parents since 2014. How has that shaped your approach to the way you approach life and leadership in business?
We have fostered or welcomed 11 foster kids into our home since
Amazing.
2014, and I think it keeps me really grounded at work. And when you spend time and you witness families that aren't able to put food on the table or don't have a roof over their head, you realize that the challenges that you face every day at work are just a stark contrast. They're almost not even challenges because you're like, this is nothing compared to what these families are going through. So I think about how fortunate I am. And when I connect with people in the foster care system every day, parents and children, I have just a new level of appreciation and gratitude for even the smallest of things. And I think that attitude of gratitude has me show up differently at work and
Correct.
get worked up over small challenges. It just gives you this humbling perspective that you're like, man, I am so fortunate. What could possibly go wrong that would wreck this day because I'm so fortunate.
It's very good points that you're making there, Jennifer. And I think approaching it from the attitude of gratitude, like very privileged to be in this position and helping those less fortunate. I think that's amazing what you're doing, you and your husband. And like in terms of, I guess, your ongoing journey and where we see the future. Obviously, you're very grounded in the present, and obviously you reflect a lot in the past. But where do you see this going in the next 15, 20 years for the accounting and professional services industry, would you say?
It's
Maybe over the
so
next decade. What's happening?
yeah, it's so interesting because I think back to I was at an AI CPA conference, and I remember who I was sitting next to, and they said, "Hey, have you seen this Chat GPT?" And I was like, "I don't even know what you're talking about right now. I've never heard of it." And he's like, "It just came out.
Yeah.
Let me show you what it can
Oh my
do." And I'm
gosh.
like, "Yeah, it was crazy." He's showing me stuff, and I'm like, "That's amazing." And I think about the amount of change that happened in just this short window of time. And I think about, the decades before that where it was like, we just need to go to the cloud. And now all of a sudden we're into a whole different era that's moving so quickly. And so what is that going to mean for the accounting profession and finance leaders? I think that, more automation and AI is going to push accounting and professional service leaders to add more value to their clients, because the reporting in many cases, the compliance in many cases, is going to end up taking care of itself. So how do they add value to that relationship or their stakeholders when the reporting becomes more streamlined? And I think we talked about it earlier a little bit around actionable insights and what does that look like. I think that
Yes.
those professions, or the accounting profession, has spent a lot of time reporting on the past, and AI and technology is getting really good at reporting on the past. So now it's about what's coming up in the future, and that can be an uncomfortable place for finance professionals. It's like, oh, I have to predict what's going to happen in future. Yes, that is what's going to happen. So I think it's more looking out the windshield, less looking in the rear view mirror, and delivering those actionable insights.
Very well said. Very well said. And in terms of these insights that you've garnered over your career, is there anyone that stands out, an influential mentor, or anyone that's had a deep impact on your journey that you might want to honor today, Jennifer?
Yeah, I've been fortunate to have several fantastic mentors throughout the course of my career. Probably one of my standouts was a regional CEO that I had at Sage through a formal mentoring program. And I think what made it different was he had the courage to speak some hard truths to me. And I'm confident without that guidance and someone being willing to tell me where I needed to develop and grow, that I wouldn't be where I am today. And so I think it's always easier to have this fluffy, encouraging conversation, but it's equally as important to have the tough conversations. And that helped shape me for sure.
Well, talking about the tough conversations, and shout out to your former CEO who gave you that beautiful gift. What is one thing you'd like to change about the professional services or payments industry that you'd like to just see? If we could change that one thing, my goodness, the world would be a better place.
I think it's spend a lot of time with finance professionals and in accounting firms. And I think there's still a large portion of that population that's holding on to the way they've always done it. And, it's kind of like, well, it got me where I am. It's still serving me well, but I just don't think that's sustainable. So, being willing to drive or adopt change, I think, is something I'd like to see more of out of those professions.
Well said. Well said. And what advice would you give young professionals starting their journey today?
Yeah, we talked about it a little bit at the beginning, but I just think you don't stand out by doing what everyone else does. The world is becoming more educated, more technology enabled. And so what are the key attributes that you can have in your own life that can help you stand out from the masses?
Good. I think that's sage advice indeed. To anyone watching, re-listening on the podcast, I think Jennifer's throwing out these nuggets. It's only been 18 minutes, but my goodness, blink and you will miss it. So be sure to re-listen to this one. And Joshua Lee's joining in saying, hi, everyone. Hey, Joshua, thanks for tuning in, my friend. Last question before we get into some bonus questions there, Jennifer. When all is said and done, how would you like to one day be remembered? Either professionally or personally, or both?
Yes. So that's a hard question. It's like, geez, let's think when I'm gone. But I,
I
personally,
know it's a bit
I
cathartic,
know,
right?
it's like, wow, this is a deep, deep thought before I go to sleep tonight. But personally, I think, I want to be remembered as somebody who has given back and invested in people and organizations with, the expectation of nothing in return. I think it's a different, when you're investing in people and you don't expect that there's something on the other side. I think it's a different kind of relationship. And I think it's just, I think it's how it's meant to be. So I want to make sure that the people that are in my life feel that their life would have been different had we not met or our paths not crossed. I think professionally, I want to be like you, where I bring passion and energy to everything that I do. And that's contagious. You see that people just kind of level up their energy when they meet with you, I'm sure. And so I want to make sure that I'm leaving every company that I work at better than I found it, making sure that I'm leaving a positive, lasting impact. And I want the people that I work with to always think that I help them become the next best version of themselves. And so just to continue to invest in everyone that I work with, including our customers.
Makes sense. Makes sense. And in terms of One final thing, like that we've covered everything from, you know, accounting to where it's going to being a foster mom. Is there one last thing you'd like to end on before we close the stream today there, Jennifer?
No, I think it's just a really dynamic landscape right now. I think it's, the pace of change is rapid, and AI is not only here to stay, but it is prevalent across all industries. So I think if businesses don't have their AI strategy figured out, I think jumping in and seeing as a finance professional or even a legal professional what that looks like is incredibly important. And there's no better time than the present. Other than yesterday would have been better, but today is good if you have not done it yet.
I love that. I think it's like an old Chinese proverb. The best time to plant a tree was 20 years ago. The second best time is now, right?
Exactly.
Very good. And lastly, I want to ask you, would you recommend, for those that are thinking about foster caring, has it changed your life? Would you recommend more people do it?
It has changed my life in so many ways. Yeah, I think that, sometimes people say, oh, the kids must learn so much from you. Like, I learned so much from them. Like, it's just,
Amazing.
it expands your mindset and your view of the world. Yeah, I highly recommend it. And anyone that's interested in getting more information, feel free to reach out to me. Would love to connect for sure.
Fantastic. Well, I was going to end on that, Jennifer. Where can people find you? Where are you hanging out the most? How can people reach out?
Yeah, I'm always on LinkedIn, so certainly reach out to me on LinkedIn. That's probably the easiest coming out of this because I've got all my connections on there, and happy to share my email on there and get connected for sure.
Wonderful. Well, Jennifer, it's absolutely been a pleasure and a privilege to have you on our Ledger Legends show today. Please, I think you can end on a happy note. Hopefully you can get some sleep and winding down, not too much work now after 8 o'clock, right?
Yeah, hopefully not too much. That's right.
That's very good.
And
And
now
thank you so
your
much
energy
again.
has me all ramped up. So now I'm like, okay, now I feel like I should go for a run or something.
Yeah, I love running. I'm a big fan of it. So if there's one thing you can do in the evening, probably go for a run. But many people might not agree with me. They reckon it might rev you up, but I find it actually quite good.
It's good for the mind too.
Yeah. Mind-body connection indeed, Jennifer. Thank you so much. We'll bring you back for some bonus questions in just a moment.
Thanks, Colin.
Now, if you are a Ledger legend or know someone who is and you'd like to be on the show, we've got some space opening up next year. We come out every Wednesday on the Live with Cullen Haynes show, talking to a legend in the law world, law live, Ledger legends in the accounting and finance space, and the general world of just what's happening in life with Live with Cullen Haynes. Thank you for tuning in. You can get this wherever you get your podcasts. Bye for now, everyone, and take care. Bringing you back, Jennifer, if you could explain what you do to one of your foster children in a nutshell, like in work, how would you go about doing that?
I don't think that my foster children ever know what I do. It's just like it looks really busy, and they, occasionally I'll get to do something on a keynote stage with someone famous, and then they just think that I work with famous people. So it's like, okay, well that is not at all what I do. But I think so.
You're
Yeah.
an influencer.
Yeah, it's always hard to describe it in a way that gets kids excited because if you're a fireman or a policeman, you don't even need to say hardly anything and they get excited. So when you're talking about working at a software company and I think it's letting them know that essentially we're developing computer or AI programs, and kids know what AI is now. So it's like, hey, if you want to use AI to develop programs that can help companies, that's where I'm at. And I think my job is essentially to make sure that our team knows what to build, that we're making things that really help solve our customer problems, and that everyone on my team has what they need to do great work. So I think it's about serving our customers and knowing what your customers want. And so I will tell kids it's kind of like being the coach of a team. That's the closest thing that they connect with. So it's kind of like that. And then they're like, well, what kind of sports team? I'm like, it's not a sports team, but it's a coach nonetheless.
I think that's very well said and very easy to understand, I must say. A few other people coming in. Guy Brown's picking up what you're putting down. He said, I agree. He's partnered, so a company, I agree. So thank you, Guy, for that. And Charles Caldwell says, greetings from Hong Kong. So everyone all over the world is watching you right now there, Jennifer, which is great. Second to last question in the bonus questions. If your leadership journey could talk, how would your leadership journey describe you?
I think I think adaptable. I've done a lot of different things over the course of my career. I mean, all business and leadership related, but taken on all kinds of things that were new to me and loved it. I'm driven. I'm very competitive. So I always like when it's like sometimes people say it's not a competition. I'm like, it's always a competition. So yes, it is. So I just like
Always,
help it.
always.
It's always. And passionate. I think it's we spend a lot of time at work, and I think you've got to love the people that you work with, and you've got to be energized and passionate about what you do, and you just keep showing up that way. And it's like, wow, this is kind of a crazy day, and you're still looking happy. And it's like what we talked about earlier. It's a decision, and that's just how I choose to show up.
I love it. If I could bottle that and share it with other people, I would, Jennifer. I think that's such a fantastic mindset and way of living. I think it's incredible. And this question I actually like. It's the final question of the stream, final question of the bonus ones. If you could go back in time and give yourself advice at any age, like get into the DeLorean with Doc Brown, we're going to go to this year and speak to this version of Jennifer. What age would you be? And what would the advice you'd give yourself be?
Wow, that is a deep question. I think
we only ask deep questions here, Jennifer. Come on.
Yeah, that's true. They are hard questions. I think going back to any version of myself, I think as a younger person, and I mean younger, like even probably into my mid-20s, you're always looking around to see how things
years
have been.
ago, for sure.
Yeah, a few years ago, just a few. But you're always looking around and seeing, what's been done, what's possible, where's the bar set. And if I was giving advice, I'd say don't look at any of that. It doesn't matter what other people have done. That's not representative of what's possible. It's just simply someone that got something done, and you think outside the box, carve your own path. The sky's the limit. So you just tend to look around and think that this is the box that you live in, and here's what I'm capable of doing. But I don't believe that. And I think over the course of my career, and the older that I get, the more confident I am that is not the case.
Yeah, absolutely amazing advice, I think. And again, anyone re-listening, re-watching, or tuning in, I think they're going to walk away a better person. Jennifer, really appreciate your time and coming on Ledger Legends today.
Thank you so much for having me. It's been great to talk to you.
Absolutely. Bye for now. Have a happy Wednesday, everyone, or Tuesday if you're tuning in from the US, and take care. Make it count. Hey there, Cullen Haynes here, Australia's leading broker for lawyers on LinkedIn, and here's why I want to talk to you today about my new book, The Laws of LinkedIn, 23 ways to find your tribe, build your following, and make 7 figures on LinkedIn. When I started this journey 7 years ago, when we built, myself and Andrew, my business partner, we built legal home loans from the ground up, the pain point for us was we were at a standing start. No one knew who we were. We had no money, we had no contacts, and basically we had to find a way to make our voice heard, talk to our tribe, the legal community, and build trust. And the only thing we had at our disposal was LinkedIn, which was and still is free. There's over 1 billion people on LinkedIn, and I wish when I started I had this book with me to guide me, because I basically distilled my 23 top leading hacks that we use to build our business to a 7+ figure, and I really want to get it out there and share it with you. So if you're back